In 2024, it's easy to get lost in the flood of open world games, but there's something about Mafia II that still sets it apart. A game released in 2010 that refuses to be overshadowed. Today, I'm diving into the world of Mafia II to see if it still holds up in today's overpopulated open world genre. Empire Bay is more than just a setting. It's a city with dual identities. From the snow-coated streets of winter to the sun-soaked boulevards of summer. Mafia II brings the passage of time into sharp focus. The city doesn't just serve as a backdrop, it breathes with the same conflict that Vito does, between the old world and the new, the American dream and the harsh realities of crime. But this isn't a city that begs for exploration like GTA. Empire Bay is more of a stage, carefully designed to pull you through Vito's story. It's not about what you can do between missions, it's about how the city reflects the era. That contrast makes the world feel alive, even if it's not the most interactive. Unlike the stereotypical mobster, Vito Scaletta is a man shaped by war and poverty, not power or ambition. Mafia II frames Vito as a survival first and a criminal second, making his journey one of necessity rather than greed. He's not here to conquer Empire Bay, he's here to carve out a piece of the American dream, even if that means losing his soul in the process. It's this duality in Vito that makes him stand out. He's a grounded character who feels he's caught between worlds, between loyalty to his family, to Joe, and the harsh reality of what making it in America really means. While the story may follow familiar beats of betrayal and ambition, Vito's personal stakes give the narrative its emotional weight. The gameplay in Mafia II strikes a balance between simplicity and depth. On the surface, it's straightforward, a mix of cover-based shooting and driving, but there's a deliberateness here that you don't always find in modern games. Every shootout is an exercise in patience, forcing you to use cover wisely and think about your positioning. It's not about overwhelming you with options, but about executing each encounter with precision. Driving, much like Mafia II's predecessor, brings weight and realism to the forefront. The cars feel heavy, they're handling slow, especially the older models. But this isn't a racing game, it's a deliberate attempt to ground you in the era. Speeding down Empire Bay streets in a vintage coupe makes you appreciate the tension, especially during chase scenes where every turn can be the difference between escape or capture. One of Mafia II's greatest strengths is its exploration of loyalty and its consequences. Vito's loyalty to Joe, to his family, and eventually to the mob itself is what drives much of the story. But that loyalty is rarely rewarded. Characters like Henry Tomasino and Leo Galante bring layers of complexity to the narrative, each testing Vito's commitment and pulling him in different directions. Unlike many crime dramas where loyalty is either a virtue or a downfall, Mafia II leaves it in the grey. Vito's loyalty isn't inherently good or bad, it's a survival mechanism. But as the game progresses, it becomes clear that the cost of that loyalty is far greater than he expected. It's a game where actions, even small ones, feel weighted with consequence. While the visuals may show their age in certain areas, particularly with the character models and animations, one element of Mafia II that remains timeless is its soundtrack. The music is carefully chosen to reflect not just the time period, but the changing moods of the story. From the crooning tunes of the 1940s to the rebellious rock of the 1950s, the soundtrack doesn't just accompany the game, it enhances it. However, the game's technical aspects, while strong in 2010, do show their limitations today. The world, while visually appealing, lacks the interactivity that modern players may expect from an open world experience. Still, what Mafia II loses in freedom, it makes up for in atmosphere. Every location feels meticulously crafted to evoke the era. So why does Mafia II still matter in 2024? It's a game that succeeds because of its focus. It's not trying to overwhelm you with endless side activities or sprawling maps. Instead, it delivers a tight, story-driven experience. The characters, the world, and the themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and survival resonate in ways that few games manage to do. In the end, Mafia II isn't just about becoming a mobster. It's about the price of that life, the choices that define us, and the loyalty that shapes who we are. It's not perfect, but it's a game that sticks with you long after you finished it. Thanks for joining me as we look back on Mafia II. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.